Hey everyone, James Hurst with the Marketing Show. Today I've got a special guest, Robert Simons. He's been on before. You may recognize him in previous things with bot builds and things. If you're like me, you've probably heard about N8N. Maybe you're using Zapier, maybe you're using Make or Pabbly. There's a number of these little automation connector tools. And I kept on hearing about N8N, and you probably, even just by the name of it, you're probably thinking, oh, that's probably some programmer thing, because it's just definitely not a very friendly, it's definitely kind of a programmer-esque type name of something. But I've heard about it so many times, never dug into it, really don't understand where it fits, what's all the excitement about N8N, and what do we need to know. So that's why I'm bringing Robert on. And so, Robert, welcome to the show. Dave is here in the audience. He might have some questions for us as well, and we'll see if anyone else joins us today. But for now, let's just get this started.
Yeah, thanks, James. Glad to be here. Yeah, I think what I wanted to start off with is a lot of people, they say like, okay, I have Zapier or I have Make. Why should I get N8N, right?
Yeah.
What's the big deal? And the biggest thing is what I always like to explain to people is like, okay, with Zapier, you've got, you've got more of a streamlined approach where it's got a lot of built-in tools. However, it's kind of like, how do I explain it? It's basically like it's simplified but limited. So
Okay.
you can do a lot of stuff in there, but its flexibility is low. So I don't prefer to use Zapier. And a while back I switched to Make, started doing some stuff
Yeah.
in Make. And so Make can do more than Zapier as far as like flexibility when it comes to programming, but it can be a bit complicated. And N8N, so as far as like abilities, flexibility, capabilities, I should say, kind of goes Zapier, then Make, then N8N. So in my opinion, N8N gives you the most flexibility. However, what really attracted me to N8N is they have built-in AI agents, and
Hmm.
you can do a lot with these AI agents. You can use them as a chatbot. You can use them to basically use AI to manipulate data, you can use tools to go and gather data for you. You can use it as what's called an MCP server, if you're familiar with that. And we'll talk about that more a little bit later. But yeah, there's just a lot of flexibility there. And go ahead.
Sorry, if I'm your kind of your typical agency owner, right? Dave's an agency owner. Maybe some of us are more technical, less technical. Is this something that I think an agency owner probably handles? Zapier's not too bad. I mean, Zapier can be challenging for some too. It's a learning curve, of course. Is this something that you're gonna give to your more of an automations expert on your team, or hire out a freelancer, or is this something that how much does the agency owner need to get their hands dirty with this, would you say? Or just, yeah, or is surface level knowledge enough that, hey, we need to figure this out when someone on the team needs to own this? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would say it depends on how technical you are. If you
Mhm.
have any sort of a programming background, you're going to love N8N. But as if you don't have a technical background, you're going to want to most likely going to outsource this. However,
Okay.
as an agency owner, what's important to know is what the capabilities are so that you
Yeah.
can then have that knowledge to know, okay, this is what the capabilities are. I didn't even know this was possible. Now I have the language to know how to hire that out and what its capabilities are. So, for example, I held a master class on N8N, and a lot of the attendees that attended that master class were like, by the end of it, they're like, okay, this is really awesome. I might not want to attempt this myself, but I now have a broad understanding of what its capabilities are so that I can then, have that knowledge to then maybe hire it out or try it myself. And there is a bit of a learning curve, just like with anything, but there are
Yeah.
so many tutorials out there, so many different templates you can get. So, for example, one thing that's really cool about N8N is you can go to their template library and you can download literally thousands of free templates just from N8N's website to get you started and then just tweak it from there. So there's a lot of
Okay.
different options as far as that goes.
So I was, when I was just getting started, and every bill was adding up and $20 here, $30 there. And when I posted this episode, I was like, yeah, this is like, it's free, it's cheap. Like, is it free or if you, something about like, if you pay for the hosting, now you can use it as much as you want, and we're not getting involved with all the usage charges. So correct me where I maybe misspoke on how much this costs, and is there a cost benefit to this, or is it just a more of a value based? It's just worth the price.
Yeah, so let's go into that a little bit. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and I already have some stuff pulled up to kind of walk through
Awesome.
that exact question. So
Okay,
let me
perfect.
do that.
Yeah, because I was kind of getting the sense that it was really cheap, but I knew that maybe you had to like host it yourself, or maybe you pay for hosting somewhere else. But then I was like, if I'm only
Yeah.
paying $30 a month for Zapier, if I'm not really using Zapier that much. But if I've got thousands, hundreds of clients, and I'm beating on these APIs all the time. But yeah, that's kind of what's going through my head.
So one thing that definitely stands apart when it comes to N8N and Zapier. So Zapier, let's say you have a workflow, but you have like 5, 10 different actions in there. You're charged per action in Zapier.
Mhm.
Whereas N8N, so if you're on like the cloud-based platform, for example, this $24 per month plan gives you 2.5 thousand workflow executions. Now, that is a workflow execution. So you could have 10, 20, 30, 50 different nodes inside that one workflow, and you're only going to get charged for one workflow execution every time that executes, instead of, you know, if there's 50 nodes in there, you'd get charged for 50 node executions. So that's definitely a difference. So when it comes to the cloud-based platform, this is basically where N8N is hosted on N8N's cloud. And so there's a couple different plans here, the $24 per month, which is 2.5 thousand, and $60 per month, which is 10,000. So
Mm.
that's if you want to host it on N8N servers, which is a great option if you just don't want to deal with self-hosting. However, I
Okay.
choose to self-host because it's relatively cheap. It's around this price, around like $30 per month to self-host, but you're not limited by executions. Instead, you're only limited by your server's capabilities. So depending on which server you get, you're basically gonna get, maybe 10,000 executions roughly at a $30 per month price. However, again, it's not limited by executions on self-hosted. It's just limited by your server's capabilities. And so I'll link to this YouTube video. It's a great video by this guy named Nick. And basically, it shows you how to set it up on Render, which is what I use, and then a few other options as well. So Render is great because N8N on the self-hosted plan, they have the community edition right here. And what you can do with the community edition, which is really nice, is you can install it with something called Docker. And if you're not familiar with Docker, basically it's just a software that allows you to basically paste in one link and then everything auto installs. So, and Render's really great at doing that. You can just click a few clicks, have it install Docker for you using a Docker image on Render, and it'll install N8N for you. You can also self-host this if you have your own server, or you can actually self-host it on your base PC just for like internal testing and stuff like that, which is nice. But if you're just kind of like new to things and you're like, I'm not sure if I should self-host, I'm not sure if I even want to use N8N. The great thing about the cloud is if you just want to like test it out and see what it's all about, on any of these plans, you get a free 14-day trial to just kind of play with it and see what N8N is all about, which is pretty nice for like training or just getting used to it. And then if you're like, hey, yeah, I want to start using this, then you just, keep paying or cancel the plan and self-host. So
Okay. I think I've got a decent question for you.
Yeah.
which is, say I've been on Zapier for 5, 10 years. I've got who knows what in there. It's working. I mean, why would I pay, let's say I'm paying 30, $40 a month. Why would I go through any of this hassle to move over to for about the same price, to and then have to learn a new system? What benefit? Why would someone do that? I guess people are doing that, but
Yeah.
I'm curious why. Why would they go through all that trouble?
Well, yeah, I mean, there is definitely some time involved if you want to convert over to N8N. The biggest the biggest advantage with N8N, we'll kind of talk about that more, but essentially it's just if you need to expand your capabilities, right? So you want
Right.
AI agents, you want to be able to host custom APIs with ease. You want to have access to these advanced workflows that do all sorts of fun stuff. Everything from marketing automations to connecting like high level with other systems that don't have native integrations, whether that be in Zapier or in N8N. There's a lot of different softwares out there that just don't talk, and or they do talk, but you're limited to specific tasks. Like, so for example, in Zapier, with GoHighLevel, maybe you can update a contact, maybe you can add a tag or like some few basic tasks. But what if you wanted to go beyond that and be able to send a message directly from N8N through GoHighLevel? Maybe you want to do some more things, and I'm going to show some of the different capabilities that you can do like with high level, since I know a lot of people on this channel
Yeah.
use high level. So yeah, there's a lot of it's basically just if all you're trying to do is say, okay, I have Zapier and all I want to do is just copy over those capabilities and that's it. Yes,
Hmm.
there is some advantages there if you have, for example, Zapier plans. For the basic plan, you get, I think it's like 2,000 executions or something like that. But let's say you're on a bigger plan, you're paying three, four, $500 a month for Zapier. Well, you could get on a $60 plan and probably do the same thing and save money that way. Because some of the people, even if you only have a few workflows, if you're doing hundreds or thousands of executions a month, that bill's going to get really high. So
Yeah.
there's kind of two use cases for why you'd want to switch over.
Okay. So if you're doing a lot of volume, or this is kind of more like the future, it's a little bit more capable, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, N8N has exploded in popularity over the last year, especially with all the AI stuff going on. It's really AI friendly, whereas
Okay.
Zapier and Make are kind of behind the ball a little bit when it comes to AI.
So in Zapier I could interject a little AI step. What can N8N do better than that?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So in Zapier, I've built chatbots in Zapier, but it's really difficult, right? You basically have to
Hmm.
try and keep track of the conversation history and the only way you can keep track of the conversation history is by like adding that conversation history to a custom field in GHL, and it's sloppy,
Mm.
it's messy, right? So with N8N, let me show you an example here. So let me move this. So if I go in here, I can create, for example, an AI agent.
Hmm.
And the cool thing about this AI agent is you do the prompts just like you would. Let's see here. Let's define below. So you can do the prompt in here just like you would on like like an assistable or some of these other things like that.
Just like what you would type into Chat GPT, like the what you would talk to it, how you would talk to it, right?
Not necessarily how you would talk to it, but instructions on how the bot should act. Like, for example, you are a copywriting expert who should analyze this message that's coming through, or you are an email agent and your job is to look at all incoming emails and analyze them on whether or not they're important and then flag them in Gmail or send you a separate email to a separate account just for important emails. Maybe you have you're getting hundreds of emails a day in your main, and you just want to only be able to respond to the important ones. So an AI agent can analyze those.
So, like in Zapier, it's like you go to YouTube and you see what you can do with YouTube, and it's pretty easy. Or maybe I connect GHL and I see the list of triggers and actions, right?
Mhm.
I guess there's that piece of it. And then it's like the little dance of connecting the softwares, whether you have to put in an API key or some sort of OAuth, is that all pretty similar or what? Yeah, what's that like?
Yeah, so before we get into that, I just wanted to finish one thought on the AI agent. So
Okay.
one thing that's cool is set up, you can have the AI agent use any LLM. So, it's common to use, OpenAI, but you can use the Google Geminis, you can use Olama, all these different ones, as well as you can also integrate your own custom LLMs in here. So let's say you're like a healthcare company and you have HIPAA rules and you don't want to use a public LLM, you could integrate your own right there, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Another thing is with the memory is you can connect a Postgres database so it has a more structured memory for the user instead of having to like put it in a custom field or something like that, which is really nice. But what makes the AI agents really powerful is you can connect these tools. So you can connect tools to like call another N8N workflow, make an API request to another software. So for example, you could inside the request here, you could say, hey, if you ever need to check my calendar, use the check calendar tool. If you ever need to schedule a Zoom call, use the Zoom tool. If you ever need to, and you can connect as many tools as you want. And then basically you're giving that AI agent the ability to decide which tools it wants to use and then
Hmm.
go out and use them as needed, which is pretty nice because then you don't have to have multiple different workflows with multiple different tasks you have to try and route them to. The AI agent is smart enough to know which tools to call, how to deal with them, and so forth, which is really
Okay.
nice.
And how does this compare or contrast to CloseBot? Would this work? Because I know Bryce did a tutorial using N8N as well.
Yep.
Do they overlap? Do they compete? Or how do these, work together?
So there's two ways. If you want to expand, whether it's assistable or CloseBot, they can both add tools. What you can do is you can expand the chatbot's ability by adding tools to CloseBot. So for example, let me open up a new tab here. So for example, when I held my master class, we talked about a few different things. For example, we can do a mortgage rate calculator. So let's say the bot's like, hey, I need you to calculate a mortgage rate. Well, if you, let me open that up real quick. So for example, you want to calculate a mortgage rate. Well, you can't do that from within CloseBot. So you could call this tool, you could use an API out there like API Ninjas, and it'll get the current interest rate as of today, and then it'll go
Hmm.
into this code tool and it will
Hmm.
calculate how much money you would borrow, the length of time in years, all this different data on specifically about mortgage rates. And then it can
Okay.
respond to that saying, hey, the monthly payment is this, current interest rate is this, and you can kind of do whatever you want. And then CloseBot has that info to then relay to the user.
Okay. So CloseBot would say, how many years mortgage would you like? Right? What's your credit? Take these inputs, then go out, and then wait for the response, and then it could say, you know, this is what the rates are today for your situation.
Right. So
So
for
like,
example, you would just, yes, you tell CloseBot like, hey, when you need to calculate a mortgage rate, call this tool. CloseBot then
mm,
calls this N8N workflow, does what it needs to
mm,
do, and sends that info back. Um,
cool.
you can expand that as well by, let's say you have a SQL database or a Postgres database that has a bunch of info. Like, for example, I did this for a client once where they were a cell phone repair shop and they had hundreds and hundreds of repair prices. So like iPhone 6S screen repair,
Hmm.
right, is $60 or $80, whatever, and it has literally hundreds of things it needs to look through. Well, let's say a customer's chatting and it's like, hey, I've got my Samsung Galaxy S3 and the battery's dead. How much would it cost to
Yeah.
replace that? Well, then you can go out to N8N. N8N can then query that SQL database, gather that info, send it back to the user and be like, yep, it's $80. Would you like me to schedule you on an appointment to come in today? Right.
Cool. So it's just like next level. It's just like next level capabilities, right? To go
Yeah.
and some other information source.
Yeah, whether it's complex calculations, database queries, other APIs that it doesn't have that you wouldn't have access to normally in a chat bot, it can really expand the capabilities for sure.
Hmm.
So one thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to GHL. So if we go in here, like for example, in N8N and we type in high level,
Hmm.
so you can see like, okay, here's a lot of the default things, which these are going to be similar to Zapier and whatnot, right?
Mhm.
You can update a contact, you can create a task, you can book an appointment, get free slots on a calendar. Yeah, go ahead.
So did High Level put this there? Was this open source by the community? How did this even get there, would you say?
So I believe High Level would have created this app or N8N might have. I'm honestly not sure,
Okay.
but they've integrated this with High Level directly, probably themselves, I would imagine that High Level would add these capabilities. So these are like common things, like surface level things
Yeah.
that you might want to do, right?
Yeah.
But let's say, for example, you can go into the high level API, which if you're wondering how to get here, you would just Google high level API. You'll be taken to this page, and then you'd want to use the API 2.0 docs. These ones are not used anymore. So use the high
Yeah.
level 2.0 docs, and you can go in here and you can see all the different things you can do, way beyond what like a standard app would allow
Yeah.
you to do. For
So
example,
I
like,
have a friend,
yeah, go ahead.
Jacob Radcliffe. Jacob Radcliffe, if you know him, he made applications for Zapier, Make, Pably, and he custom coded and he has his own, high level app, which has like 90 different capabilities,
Yeah, I'm familiar
right?
with that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is just because you see only 10 things it can do, it's definitely possible to do way more, right?
Right. And this makes it a million times easier to do it yourself versus
Okay.
like having to custom code an app like he did. So even like
Okay.
all the apps he's created, which are helpful, there's not going to be every use case out there. And more than likely, depending on what clients you have and so forth, you're going to run into some sort of a limitation. And then what do you do? Right. So this, and also you have to pay, I think he charges a monthly fee or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he
So
does. He does.
this allows you to do whatever you want without having to pay any additional charges, and you can customize it exactly for your use case.
Okay.
Like for example, I was doing some stuff recently with custom objects in a high level, right? I wanted to be able to do every time an invoice was created in a third party software, I wanted to create a new invoice object so they could keep track of all the invoices coming in from a third party software, right? So then you
Hmm.
come in here, you say, so this example software I was using was FreshBooks, which was specific software for the user. And they were doing their invoicing in there and they wanted to see all those invoices come into high level. So we created this custom objects, and then under object schema, you can create a custom object. You can add a new custom object record. So you can create a record, update a record, and so forth, so that you can add in these different capabilities.
Are we gonna are we gonna do a little example of what that looks like?
Yeah,
Or is
I
that
have a
is
little example prepared if we want to get into this, because I think that would be helpful. Because basically, if you understand the basics of how to connect and we'll use GoHighLevel as an example. Once you kind of understand the fundamentals of how to connect an API using OAuth, then it makes it much easier to then duplicate that to other apps, right?
Mm.
So let's talk about that. So in order to connect high level using a custom API request, what you have to do is you go to marketplace.gohighlevel.com, you go
Okay.
ahead and sign up. Once you're inside, you get taken to an app dashboard that looks like this. You won't have any active apps, of course. But let me show you this one as an example, and then we'll create one from scratch. So
Okay.
you create your basic info, and what this is this is connected. This is an app specifically just for my N8N account. And then under advanced settings and auth, you can go in here and you basically set up what's called the scopes. So
Hmm.
you can limit the scopes, or you can by only allowing the app to do certain things, or you can add as many different things as you want. Once you've set this up, you then set up your redirect and client IDs and so forth, which I'm going to show you how to do right now. So if you go back to your app dashboard, you can click Create App, enter an app name. I'm just going to do test N8N. Whoops. I'm going to make this a private app. We're going to do it at
Okay.
the sub account level, and then who can install the app? Everyone. And then you always want to choose white label. Then go ahead and hit Create App. And for some reason, you have to give it an app logo. And so
Okay.
I think I have one here. Actually, let's just do this. I'm going to create, so let me go into Canva real quick. I'll just create a custom size 400 by 400. And let's just give this, sure, cute. Let's do this flower looking thing. Oh, wait, let's see. Sorry, one moment. Let's do N8 and see what it comes up with. All right, we'll just do a N graphic, sure.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna download that. Oh, let's do, because there's only one object here, let's do something like this just for fun. Okay, now we can download it.
I don't understand what just.
So Canva didn't want me to download an app if there's only one thing on there. They don't want you to basically just export just single items.
A
You have
premium
to have
was like a premium thing. Was it because it was premium or something or?
probably. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is drag this in here. And then doesn't matter what you put in category or tagline, company name. Okay, and save. So just, it really doesn't matter because no one else is going to see this but you. And then the
Okay.
only other thing you have to do here is go to advanced settings and auth, and then you select your scopes. So let's say this app, I'm only wanting to do stuff with calendars, for example. So I could
Hmm.
select all the different calendar things in here, right? Something like that. And then what we're going to want to do next is we need a redirect URL. So we're going to need to go back to N8N. So let me delete this AI agent. And we're going to do an HTTP request. This is going to be generic credential type. And we're going to do OAuth 2.0 API. And we'll go ahead and create a new, actually, let me see here. I think we can do high level, if I remember correctly. Let me try that real quick. Oh yeah, there it is. High level OAuth 2 API. Okay. So you can see I've already got a few created here. And the nice thing about this OAuth 2 API is once you get it set up, you can also use it with the default high level apps, which is pretty cool. But so it'll share this credential. So what I'm going to do is click create a new credential, And first thing you'll want to do is say, okay, what is this for? So I'm going to say N8N test, because if you're connecting to multiple different things, you'll want to set that up. So, or multiple sub accounts. So this would be, for example, a sub account that you were connected to. So this is the OAuth redirect URL. And basically what this does is when you connect to OAuth, it'll have you sign into your high-level account, and then it'll redirect you back to N8N. And so that's what this link is here. So you would just click to copy that, go back to Marketplace, and paste that in here. Okay. So now when you set this up, it'll allow it to redirect there. Now, the last thing you need to do is generate a client keys. So I'm going to hit add. I'm going to say key 1 or something like that. It doesn't really matter. And then it'll give you the client ID and the client secret. Now I'm going to delete this app after we're done here, but normally you want to keep these secret, of course.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy this client ID, go back here and paste it in here. And then I'm going to grab the client secret, paste that in here. Now you will only be shown this once, so I recommend storing these client keys somewhere, because every time you want to create a new sub account, you'll have to go through this same process, but you don't have to recreate the marketplace app. You'll just use the same one that you normally do, and then just paste in these same client IDs and client secrets.
Okay.
Now, the last thing we have to do is add the scopes. So what the scopes are is these right here. So
Mm.
you basically have to copy this text and do it and separate it by spaces. So what I like to
Mm.
do is go into Notepad, and then let me move that out of the way. And I'm just going to select that like
Mm.
that and hit Control C,
Mm-hmm.
and then paste it in here. And then what you do is I do delete twice space, delete twice space, and you just go through and do that for all of the ones that you have selected,
Okay.
because these have to match exactly, and it's easier to do this than try and type them in manually and hope you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
make a mistake. So I'm going to paste these in here. Before I can connect, I need to save this though. Okay, now that it's saved, I should be able to click connect my account. You can see now it's taking me to Marketplace. I'm already logged in. Oh, at least I was. Let's see. Go ahead and sign in real quick. Okay, let me do the code real quick. I don't know why it logged me out. Okay, let me grab my code. Okay.
So just to recap, we're doing all of this just to connect N8N to high level?
Yes, but it's a very similar process for connecting to any API. Any API that uses OAuth anyways, you'll always have a client ID and a client secret, and then a lot of times you'll have some sort of scope. And so I'm showing you this because a lot of people on this could benefit from connecting to GoHighLevel, but
Yeah.
this could be reused for a lot of different purposes. And I figured this would be kind of helpful to know how to connect to custom APIs.
Awesome.
So let me go ahead and do the connect again now that I'm signed in. So you can see I pulled up my little logo there, right? So if
Yep.
you had like clients connecting to your own N8N, they would see this same thing, right? And then these are all the events that I have access to, or scopes, I should say. I'm gonna go ahead and
Yep.
click next. And let's just do, I don't know, just some random one here. Okay, now you can see connection is successful. So I'd actually rename this to like webinar test or whatever it was. and then click
The sub
save.
account.
Yeah, that's the name of the sub account.
Yeah.
And now you can see this has been added to my OAuth. So now I don't have to do that ever again for that sub account. It's always going to be saved.
Okay.
And that's the same thing for if now I go and add just like a standard high level thing, like create an opportunity, for example,
Okay.
I can do, so you can see the credentials to connect with. I've got those
Okay.
already set up now, so I can do that same thing.
Okay.
So when I first did that, I had to watch so many tutorials, and it took me like 3 or 4 hours to figure out just how to connect the stupid thing.
I,
And
yeah, I can imagine.
hopefully that's kind of the streamlined process, because I was like, what do I need to do? How do I need, what scopes do I need? Do I need to put everything else in here? Well, once you understand the basic process, it's fairly straightforward. It takes like 10-15 minutes and you're good to go.
Wow.
Then from there, so let's say, for example, we'd go back, now that we have this set up, we'd go back here and let's say we wanted to send a new message, for example. Okay. So we'd grab this and I'm going to rename this GHL send message, for example. And if we check the API, whoops, it's a post. So we'd set this up as post. We'd put the URL in there. And then let's check what else we need to do. So we don't need to worry about the authorization because that's taken care of with the OAuth,
Yeah.
but we do need to add this version. It's basically on every single API call with high
Yeah.
level. So I'm going to
Yeah.
copy version. Don't copy this text. That's the wrong one. You want to copy this one up here. And then we do send headers, type in version, and then we'd copy this text here. Okay,
It kind of tells it which version of the API in
exactly.
case it gets updated.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll go back in here and we'll say, okay, what do I want to do here? Okay, I want to send a type. Let's say that I want to send a SMS. And you can see here, this is the body. So we go in here to body and we do type. And let's say we want to do SMS. Okay. And then we need to do the contact ID. So how we would get that is like this. So instead of chat message, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to do a webhook. And this is going to be a post. And what I would then do is copy this webhook and go into my automations. So let's say that, like, someone messages you or fills out a form or whatever, right? Whatever the trigger is. Then all you have to do is go to webhook, paste in that URL, then hit save. And now what we can do, so that's the test URL. So we can now listen for a test event. And basically this will then tell us what data we can use that comes in. So it'll map all the data from high level.
Right.
Now if I go back here and I test this workflow like that, for example, and hit run test, now I should see that data come through. Okay, there we go. So now we have all the data, because the default webhook just sends everything about that contact. And it's also
Where's the
free
contact
to use.
ID? Is it somewhere in there?
What was that?
The contact ID, I guess, is somewhere in all that.
Yes, exactly. So we'd go down, find the contact ID, which is right here. Okay.
Okay.
And then before we close out of this, so there's a different URL for testing and finding events and production. So you'd click this production URL, copy that. And now that we've got all the data, we'd replace the test URL with the copy, or sorry, the
Oh, the
test
real
URL with the
one.
production URL. And now you're ready to go for all future events. So now
Okay.
what we can do in this send message, we'll add a new parameter. and then we'll go into contact ID like this, paste that in here. Oh, I need to connect these. There we go.
And that will be a
Now,
variable.
yep, we can do a variable. So all we have to do is go down and find the contact ID, which is right here. And then we just drag that over,
Okay.
and now it has the contact ID, right?
Okay.
So let's see, let's find
And what
the,
is the big picture of what's our little use case? We're gonna send a text or something, and so we're gonna fill out a form and then send them a text.
yeah, I mean, obviously you can do that from within high level,
Right.
but
Right.
let's say you had some other use case where it's coming in from another system instead of high level and you wanted to send them a text. So we'll kind of pretend
Yeah.
that that's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
then we
know
can,
we're just doing like an example.
right. So we can do message, then we just type in hello there, right? Something
Okay.
like that. And now what you can do is, I'm not sure if we've gathered all the right data, so let's just test it and see what happens. And hit execute step. So the nice thing about N8N is every single step you can execute individually and
Hmm.
see what happens. Okay, that's right. So I don't have the correct authorization for sending
Oh,
messages,
because we only did calendars.
right? Because we only did calendars.
Okay.
Okay, so now I know that I messed up. So what I can do is I can go in here and I can do messages, messages read, messages write, and I can
Hmm.
update that. Then I'm going to grab
Those are
this.
conversations. Is there anything that's conversations? Is there anything else, or is that it?
I believe that's it for just sending messages.
Do you start to type in there and it starts searching,
Yes.
or
So
how
I
does?
typed in message
Okay.
and it came up with those two.
Okay, you got both of them. Okay.
Yep. So now what I can do is I can go back to my high level test for webinar test. I can edit
Remember that
this.
other place? Remember that place where we put it in Notepad and then we put it there? Do we have to do that too?
Nope, because it saves the client ID and client secret. So
Okay.
now what I can do, and I can actually, since it's kind of hard to read, I can click this little button here and that'll expand it. And then I can
Oh,
paste in
you're
those
gonna.
two other
Oh, okay.
scopes that I had that I just
Yep.
added.
Yep.
Now this will require me to reconnect.
Hmm.
So I'll have to click connect my account, go through this again, choose the same one. I think it was webinar. Let's see here. Okay, it's saying incomplete scope. Oh, I might have messed up. Let me make sure I don't have any extra spaces or anything in here. Okay, let me save that. Then try connecting again. Okay, yeah, you can see now I've got these scopes, conversations, message read, and message write. So we're going to be updating these scopes. See, where did, oh, I clicked the back button. Let's see, let's click install, click next. Let's see, what does this say? Invalid redirect URI does not match the value. Oh, this is saying Integramat. Okay, so let's double check that. Am I doing the wrong? No, this should be right. So let me try repasting in these client IDs and client secrets. See if that should do it. For some reason, it's thinking it's Integramat, which make does the same thing here. So let's see, I believe it's this one and this one. Let's try that. There we go. So now that's saved. Now if I go execute step, I shouldn't get that same error. Token does not have access to this location. Oh, did I do the wrong location? Oh, let's see here. So I did, oh, that's right. So I need to send that webhook from the correct sub account. So I'm sending
I
it from
was
the
what
wrong sub account.
I was gonna ask that. Yeah.
Oh, of
Okay.
course, this one
Okay.
doesn't. Let me do the one we were doing. So let me just change this real quick. So I will do a new credential, and I'm going to call this one the the ACA. Whoops. And then let me paste in my IDs again. Let's see this one. And then let me just save that real quick. And then let me go back to my other one. And I'm just so I can copy and paste these scopes so I don't have to redo that. So that's another idea to keep with that text file you create is pasting in the scopes that you use. So if you ever need to connect a new sub account, you can just do that. So let me edit my ACA here, put in my scope, click save, click connect. And then this time I'm going to connect my ACA. Okay, successful. So now I'm connected to the right sub account. So let me do this. Oh, missing. Okay, so now we know we're missing the phone number.
Okay,
So
when you
let's
do your
go.
test contact, the test contact you put through.
So I'm actually trying to send a message right now, and it's saying missing phone number, which means in my body, I don't have the phone number I want to send it to. So
Ah,
what I need to do
okay.
is go down and find to number here.
Okay.
And
But then
then,
also when you put that test contact through, you got to make sure it has a number.
exactly. Yeah. So I would go down. I think this one has a phone number. Let's see. Did I miss it?
Can you search
Yeah, I can search. Let's do phone.
phone?
Okay, so I do not have a phone number in that particular contact. So let
Huh.
me change that real quick. Let's go to contacts, just add a phone number. Now I don't have HEP set up on this, but we can at least see,
Oh, that it'll fail.
yeah, it'll fail to send in high level, but it will
But
go through on
but
N8N.
you'll see that it goes through in high level, but it will fail. You'll see that it tries.
Right, we'll see that it tried. So now to get that phone number, what I'm going to do is go back to test URL, click listen for events. Let's see. Let me save. So it's saying there's an error here. So all you have to do to fix that is just refresh the page so that you can then test the webhook. So I'm going to listen for test event. Whoops. Let's see. Listen for test event. There we go. And then let's throw in our test event room one more time. And then we should see this come through. There we go. Now let's put back our production URL before we forget. And now we can go back into here. And under to number, I should have phone number. There it is, phone.
Hmm.
Okay. And now I should be able to execute that step. Okay. So now you can see it sent that message, gives us our conversation ID and message ID. So if you needed to do something more with that later, you could. And then if we go back to high level, So it's going to try to send hello there, which is the message I put, right?
Okay.
So obviously that's a simple example, but there are so many different things you can do in here. Like I said, with the objects, with custom fields, updating custom fields, all sorts of different things in here, invoices, different things. Let's say a customer pays an invoice and you want to send it to another system, a lot of different
Yeah.
things like that, which is great. So
It's you almost have to have the imagination for what you can do with it. Seems like.
yeah, and you know what? A lot of times for me, it's like for example, James, you messaged me earlier and we're like, hey, what happens if I've got a Zoom registration and I want to
Yeah.
send someone an email on high level? So I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's possible. So what I
Yep.
did is I just typed in Zoom API
Uh-huh.
and went to the API reference for Zoom, did a search, or sorry, we did.
Like registration or something.
Let's see, where was it? It was meetings. I'm looking for meetings. Anyways, there's someone in. Oh wait, yeah. Let's see. There's meetings in here somewhere. Yeah, let's do this. Meetings. Zoom Meetings API. There we
Oh
go.
yeah, yep.
And now you can see all the different types of things in here that we can do with meetings. So let's say someone in high level, let's say you filled out a form in high level and you want to add them to a Zoom meeting and you don't want to use the default app and you want to have some more flexibility. You could go through and you could post meetings in here, like for example, post someone to a registrant, and you could do that through N8N, basically just connecting anything that you'd like. But let's say that like you wanted to do something even more. So let's say like in high level, let's say someone registers for a meeting and in the form you say, please enter your current business website, right? Okay, cool.
Okay.
So they register, they schedule on the calendar using standard, GoHighLevel meeting connector. And then what you do is you send a webhook out with their name and email and their website, and then maybe you go scrape their data on their website, send it back to high level in the notes saying this is what the person does, this, and you can use AI to analyze the website data and say this is what their primary audience is, this is what they do, all these different things, right? And then you can send that back to high level, add it to the notes. You can try and use a LinkedIn scraper to search by their name and company and use LinkedIn data to see what they're going on and send that back to high level. So you can then basically enhance that customer's data and information so that you have more info and you're more prepared for their call without having to manually research that client, right? You just
Gotcha.
go in 10 minutes before the meeting, look over the notes that were created automatically for you, and you're more prepared for that meeting. I mean, there's just so many different possibilities out there. One thing I wanted to note right here is, let's see, let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, the community. So you've got this community forum where you can ask questions in here. There's a lot of really active community members in here for asking questions on N8N. As well, you can go to this contribute area and let's see, where was it? Oh, now I'm missing it. But let's say like you type in free N8N workflows.
Hmm.
Let's see if I can find it real
Yeah, do they
quick.
use like JSON or something like that? Or
Yeah,
how do
yeah,
they test?
yeah. So let's say that I created one and I wanted to send this to my buddy, or someone sent one to me. So for
Yeah.
exporting this, all I have to do is click there's three dots and hit download, and it'll download a
Okay.
JSON file. And then if
Okay.
someone shares a workflow with me, or I get one offline from wherever, Medium has
Yeah.
a lot of different templates. There's a lot of different things. You can just hit import from file and just upload the JSON file. And then you just have to basically update your credentials for anything that it's triggering and go from there.
Okay. Look, you okay if we check in with our audience here and see if they have any questions?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, Bolu or Dave, yeah, what did you guys think? For me, it was I have a technical background, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I'm like, I don't know. What was your take?
I don't have a
Did it?
technical background, so this is
This,
the type of stuff I would give to my ops person to fill out, but
yeah,
it definitely can see where it definitely can make some things easier from the Zapier side of the things, especially if some of those apps are already pre-developed there. So some cool stuff to do it. Obviously, you got to be creative with it. I think this is really going to come on my team side to kind of play with it and kind of start telling me how this integrates with everything we want to do. Well,
yeah.
I think it's got some
What
cool elements to it.
did this session answer any question? What questions did this like session answer for you? Would you say like, or was it valuable?
It was valuable because it's introducing me to what we need to go to. And again, not necessarily N8N, but I'm just saying more hooking things together and web hooking and getting everything to start talking to each other. So it's valuable because everybody's talking about this and I haven't yet to see it. And it was good
Yeah,
to see someone that has the knowledge of it to kind of show what's possible with it.
yeah,
Yeah, and
awesome.
one thing we didn't touch on as well is like, let's say you're a content creator and you want to post videos automatically.
Hmm.
There are N8N workflows where you can literally just fill out a form that says, I want to create a video about this. You then use an AI agent to create the script, create the
Mm,
image prompts, splice it into sections, and then it'll create multiple images for each section. It'll then have 11 labs create all the voices for those sections, and then it'll turn those images into videos for each section, and then it merges everything together and uses like JSON to video, and it'll merge everything into a single video and then post it into your Google Drive file to upload, or you can connect the APIs directly and have it auto post for you. So that's
yeah,
an example of a complicated workflow that you can like download for someone who's created it or whatever off like Gumroad, things like that. But obviously what we did today was, I mean, I know that connecting to GHL was a little pretty technical, but that was just kind of give you an idea on how to connect to an API. But there are so many different use cases for N8N, and hopefully that gives you an idea on, all the different things, especially with AI agents and databasing. Maybe you have SQL databases, maybe you have these different things that you want to connect together. Maybe you have systems that don't natively talk to GHL. Well, you can integrate, have GHL update that system, have that system update GHL, and maybe you have a third system that also needs to be updated, right? And what's really cool about N8N that both Zapier and Make do not have, at least not very easily, just real quick, want to touch on that. You can click on the executions for any single execution that comes through. And what you can do is you can double click on these and you can see the exact data that came in for that node. You can then see the exact data that was sent and outputted from that node. And so it's extremely easy to troubleshoot. And you can see like, oh, I had an error here. Okay, what went wrong? And you click on that and you can see what error you got for a specific node. Like, okay, this one had a node because it said your request was not valid because it was missing a phone number. Okay, and you can see the complete history of every single execution and every single node and what went wrong. So that's one of my favorite things about N8N is being able to troubleshoot.
if you had to
Yeah,
like tell us like I guess 5 action steps to take, what would those maybe look like? What would those action steps be?
sure. So what I would recommend doing, obviously play around with N8N, use the free trial, see how you like it. But what I'd recommend is let's say you have a specific use case, but you don't know how to do it or if N8N can do it. Both
Mm-hmm.
Claude and ChatGPT are very familiar with N8N's capabilities. So you can go
Mm-hmm.
and be like, hey, I need to do this, this, and this. Can N8N do that? If so, how? And it will give you
Hmm.
detailed instructions on not only if, but what you can do. So I would recommend exploring that as opportunities.
Where do you go for the free trial again? If you just want to get started with this in the most basic, cheapest way, where do you go? Is it
Yeah.
N8N.io?
Yes, so it is, let me find it again. Yeah, n8n.io/pricing, and you can get a
Okay.
14-day trial to play around with it.
So the
And
cheapest you can play around with this is $24 a month.
after the 14-day free trial, yes.
Okay.
And then I can't find it at the moment, but I'll have you paste a link, put a link in the description of this
Show
video when
notes.
you post it. That because there are literally thousands of templates out there you can download for free. So I'd recommend exploring those, and that will also help your imagination get going on what the capabilities are.
Yeah. Okay.
And then just,
Yeah.
yeah, ask questions, be curious, explore the
Join the
community.
community.
Yeah.
Are you in any of the Facebook group communities? I think I recently joined
Yeah,
one.
I'm in several like N8N template groups and stuff. That can be really enlightening as well because people will post on there like, hey, I did this workflow, I did that workflow. I'm also in a few school groups that are really great. I can post some links to those in case you're interested in joining.
Okay.
I've been in a bunch of different ones, but my two favorite ones, I don't know the names off the top of my head, but they're really great for learning N8N and also getting a whole bunch of templates with instructions on how to implement them, including
Okay.
like that posting a video one I mentioned earlier.
And then is this something that you do for people too? Is this something that you people could reach out and get some consulting or from you
Yeah, for
directly
sure.
or
So there's two different things that I can offer, and we'll put links in the description. So if you just go to my website, rocketgrowthmedia.com, you can book a call with me if you want me to build you custom
do
automations.
you want to pull up your website? Well, since you're already sharing your screen.
Sure.
Okay. So if they want to get a hold of you, this is your website.
Yep. So I can do a free AI audit where we'll talk about what your business needs, what it's doing, and seeing how AI and automations can help. And
Okay.
then I also have this website here, createaitools.com. And this is how you can create AI tools for things like CloseBot and Assistable. And so I can post this link below as well, which you can sign up for and get the access to the recordings that I did about a week or so ago. And this will give you an even it's 6 hours of training that goes in
Holy.
depth with several hand-holding different modules.
Okay.
This can be pretty helpful as well for diving into N8N. But
Awesome.
yeah, if you're like, hey,
Fantastic.
I just want your help, I'd be happy to jump on a call and help you out. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time. And Dave, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thank you
That
guys.
being
Appreciate
said,
it.
guys, yeah, yeah, it was great. Definitely got a better overview of what's going on. Man, it's almost like another full-time job. But who needs one more of those? So yeah, it's like, oh, there's so much to know to pull off all the puzzle pieces of all the there's so much. So that's
yeah,
why I
and
guess yeah, that's why you hire it out or say, hey, this is what or take the
yeah, I
time to
mean
learn it.
my go-to tools right now are GoHighLevel and N8N.
Yeah,
And
your
then
stack.
for chatbots, I either use CloseBot or Assistable. So they both
Yeah.
work well, different purposes, and that's all I use. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty great. Pretty great
And
tech
yeah,
stack.
yeah, I mean, you said it's very AI friendly, right? It's like you feel like you can build on this for the next 5 years, 10 years or something, or who knows,
Yeah,
right? But
I think in 5 years from now, N8N is going to be way bigger than Zapier Make ever was.
Mhm.
okay.
And
Yeah, and it
really,
is open sourced, right? It's open
yes, it
source.
is. And what I really want everyone to take away from this conversation is that use N8N to expand your existing software, right? Expand its
Yeah.
capabilities beyond the default and automate things to not just save time, but also increase revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was great. Yeah, guys, leave a comment down below if you guys got value. Thanking Robert for his time. He generously donated for this, and get in touch with him. Will be links, to the show notes below for getting started with N8N and getting in touch with Robert. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.